Hey, what's up soldiers? My name's GregFPS and welcome back to another video here today on my channel. I got something really interesting for you guys. Before I get into it, I just want to say that this was actually not the video I had planned for today. I did have one planned already, and it was actually the Mob of the Dead Easter egg tutorial, but I was really busy today. I had a call with YouTube and I was in another call with YouTube. It was really confusing to explain, so I'm sorry about this video being uploaded so late. I was not planning on that originally. Anyways, let's get into it guys. Today I'm going to be explaining the Mob of the Dead storyline, and it's actually really interesting. So you need to keep in mind that Mob of the Dead is completely separate from the main storyline that we are in when it comes to zombies. Nothing to do with it. The only thing to do with it is Al on Mob of the Dead says a quote that's like, Nikolai, where have I heard that name, or where do I know that name? And that can be saved for another video in the future, but I just wanted to mention that it's like its own little bubble, I guess you could say, and it has nothing to do with the main storyline that we're in right now. So anyways, let's get into it guys. First of all, Richtofen and Samantha, they are not controlling the zombies. It's presumed to just be Satan, okay? He's controlling all the zombies on that map. Now, when you first spawn into Mob of the Dead, everyone's in afterlife mode, and this is because Mob of the Dead is a cycle. Every time that they go to the bridge and they come back, it's a cycle. So it's just keep going over and over again, and the cycle ends up being broken. But let's backtrack a little bit into what actually happened in real life. Now this is based off an actual real story. I don't know all their names off the top of my head because I like reading something and learning about something and then just explaining it without having to look at anything, unless it's like a cipher or something and I have to read it because I don't remember everything. But I remember this storyline and I like explaining it from my point of view and what I took from it. So that's what we're doing in this video. So basically it was based off a real story. They ended up saving up supplies for an entire year, and they ended up making paper mache faces out of toilet paper that they kept getting in their cell, because if you guys didn't know, they had a toilet in their cell, and they actually ended up taking out the sink and escaping through the sink to actually get out of like their cell, and they put that paper mache face that they made of themselves in the bed so that the guards, when they walked by, they didn't notice. And it's really crazy because Weasel, there was actually a pipe directly behind where he could escape from, and he couldn't get through it, so he never ended up escaping, and the other three people did, and they ended up actually escaping. They were nowhere to be found ever. And you got to keep in mind that Alcatraz Island is like an actual prison for the mobsters. It's not actually a real prison anymore. Like, you can't go to prison there, but you can visit and, you know, like check it out and everything like that, like sightsee the actual prison, but it's not in practice anymore, I guess. So it's 40 miles off the coast of San Francisco, and it's in the bay, so the water is really cold. There's sharks, and 40 miles is a really long way to swim. So it's presumed that they just died or they drowned, and they were never found. Their raft that they actually ended up making was found though, so we don't know what happened to them. It's presumed that they died. We don't really know. So it's really crazy because the Mob of the Dead storyline is kind of based off of this whole thing. Now in the Mob of the Dead storyline, all four of the characters end up escaping. You see Ferguson die originally from Al. He kills Ferguson and he takes the keys.
It'll be the real deal this time.
Once the Weasel gets the keys, we move on to stage 2.
And when you're playing the game, you have to actually get the key to opens up the warden's office. And in the like cutscene, Al ends up breaking into the warden's office and getting his like personal firearm collection, and that's what he hands to the other three characters.
Here you go, fellas. Courtesy of the warden's private collection.
So in the actual like Mob of the Dead storyline, this whole thing, they're collecting plane parts, okay? They're getting the plane parts, and that's what you're doing when you're actually playing on Mob of the Dead. And then I guess it gets to the point in the Mob of the Dead storyline that they are frustrated with Al Arlington, the Weasel, and they don't understand. So those three characters end up killing Al, and he dies. And that is when the cycle continues and resets completely. So when you fly to the actual San Francisco bridge and crash into it and go falling down, then they go in the electric chair, and that ends up bringing them back to the map in afterlife mode. So when you actually have to continue and finish the Easter egg, what ends up happening is you go on the plane in afterlife mode, and then you revive the character that is actually on the bridge. So this Easter egg can only be done with 2, 3, or 4 people. It can't be done solo, unfortunately. But basically what ends up happening is either the Weasel kills those 3 characters, or the 3 characters kill Weasel. Now, there is actually a audio log at the end of the Easter egg that you can listen to, and I'm gonna be playing that for you guys now.
My name is Stanley Ferguson. I was a guard at Alcatraz from 1933 to 1942. Today, I'm going to give you some insight into one of the more interesting tales of the prison's history. Over the decades, Alcatraz has seen more than its fair share of daring escape attempts. However, few were as audacious as the one undertaken by 4 inmates on New Year's Eve, 1933. Thought to be the brainchild of an inmate by the name of Albert Arlington, the outrageous scheme was as unlikely as its mastermind. It's believed that Arlington, aka the Weasel, somehow convinced 3 other inmates that he had devised a foolproof plan to escape the rock. It was a plan that would see them literally taking to the skies on a makeshift aircraft of Arlington's own design. Just how the Weasel managed to convince these hardened criminals that such a plan was even possible remains a mystery to this day. What is known is that no such plane was ever built. Instead, the group's plans for freedom soon descended into bitter argument and infighting. With the plan falling apart, anger and frustration would ultimately lead to a brutal altercation between the misguided Arlington and his former co-conspirators. Armed only with makeshift weapons, Finn O'Leary, Sal DeLuca, and Billy Hanson lured the unsuspecting Arlington to the roof, where they intended to exact a bloody and violent revenge. And so it was here, beneath the dark and stormy winter skies, that the hapless Arlington met his grisly end, bleeding to death on the cold concrete roof. For their participation in the murder, the 3 collaborators were sent to death by electric chair. Justice came swiftly. On the morning of January 19th, 1934, the execution order was carried out.
This particular one, like, it's the same thing every time, but what is portrayed in the audio logs is the 3 characters killing Weasel. So they don't actually have the audio logs for Weasel killing the other 3 characters, but basically the cycle continues if those 3 characters kill Weasel. If Weasel kills the other 3 characters, the cycle is completely broken. So that is basically the story of Mob of the Dead. There's a lot of stuff going on, but there's really not that much information. That is like the basic gist of what actually happened with Mob of the Dead. So if you guys have any like other points you want to make or things I missed, let me know for sure. And if you guys liked this video, let me know as well, because I really want to make videos that you guys are actually interested in. So I hope this interested you. My name is GregFPS. I will see you guys later. Peace out, guys.